actually a very simple philosophy. We really want to focus on building culture. That's what we've been doing since inception in 2002. And it's a strong culture. It's a family type culture that brings people together essentially. And by bringing people together, you work better, stronger, faster, accomplish more together. You share ideas, the growth is there, it's productive growth. And ultimately what happens is the customer and the lender partners benefit from all that as well. It was actually by accident, to be very honest. I was a banker for a number of years. I just felt internally that I always had this self-employed, intrinsic drive. And it ultimately led to just building my own business as a mortgage broker from the bank. It was a natural transition. It's really about taking the time to understand the client's needs. In order to do that, it's not just about taking an application. Essentially, it's about taking the time initially to understand, by asking proper questions, what is the client really looking for? Once we understand what the client's looking for, we proceed to the next step of the process, and that is doing an application. The application complete, you now know what type of documentation you can ask for, or you should be asking for. My main focus is really trying to get as much upfront and pre-underwrite the transaction so that I take time away from the process for both the client, the lenders, the underwriters, really by essentially raising the productivity levels. One of the things that we focused on for Mortgage Edge was building culture. What I really like about Equitable is the culture that it's built over the years. I've been doing business with Equitable for years, decades, quite frankly. It's just the way that it's built up and where it is today. It's a family type of feel when you're both cooperating and working together. And that's what I like about Equitable. They ask, they inquire. They're concerned about, what the processes are. Are they smooth? Are they good for the client? Are they good for the broker? And it's a constant kind of exchange, which is what makes a long-term relationship work. Well, I certainly wouldn't be retired, that's for sure. I have way too much energy and much more to accomplish. But let's say I did get to that end goal. I'm a huge advocate and animal lover. I've just got this newfound love for our little furry friends. They just have so much to give, and I just want to give back. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a passion of mine, and I'm going to start a sanctuary, basically. The lender-broker relationship is what makes things happen. It's important for brokers to understand that without that strong lender-broker relationship, there's really no longevity to the relationship between the broker and lender. I've always carried the philosophy that if we took the time to understand the sensitivities of lenders, what it is that they're looking for, and what's important to them and what drives them, and why those sensitivities are there, brokers would actually probably make their own life easier if they chose to work together more closely with lenders by trying to understand this, improve the processes on their end. What is it that they could do as brokers to make things easier? And when you work together to understand each other, then they do well, you do better, the client has a great experience, the referral sources have a great experience, and the transaction is that much better. It's much smoother, and it leads to more business for yourself. Usain Bolt, he's a phenomenal athlete, but stayed very grounded and continues to be. I like athletes and really role models that also get involved in charitable work to a great extent, because charitable work is very, very important for role models, and something that I'm actually pretty passionate about myself. I quietly support charitable work, including my passion, and that's to essentially support pet charities, but also supporting hunger charities, homelessness. That's very passionate for me. So there's really a myriad of influential people in all walks of life that too many to call. Awareness. Managing a good balance in life between work and home life is extremely important. I used to work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I kid you not. The one thing that I realized 7 years in, I was doing multiple transactions. At one point, I had reached 618 transactions a year. And it was all about the work and just getting that deal done. And then one day, I just realized I became aware of the path that I was going down that wasn't sustainable. So I decided that the best way to deal with this was build structure. Build structure, build process, which ultimately led into the building of the brokerage itself. And with the build of process and structure came the balance. I was able to go out and in the evenings and spend time with my three boys. I have three boys, with my lovely wife, Tina. It was important for me to build that relationship that had a lasting legacy and effect on these three boys. I woke up one morning and I realized that I didn't have that. You know, it was as though they were talking to me, but I wasn't listening. They were there, but I didn't see them. And then when I decided to change all that, my life became so much more fulfilling, but not only more fulfilling, but actually more profitable. Profitable not just from a monetary perspective, but also from a satisfaction perspective.